Welcome into a very special episode of the Baseball America College Baseball Podcast. My name's Jacob Rudner. As always, I'm joined by Peter Flaherty. However, the difference right now is that A, we're live on YouTube, and B, it is 11:55 p.m. on the East Coast. So we are doing a nice and late night podcast, recapping the College World Series. Day one was today. It was unbelievably exciting. If you ask me, we had a little bit of everything, errors, crazy plays, excellent pitching. Coastal Carolina played Arizona this morning in game one. They won 7-4 to advance to the winners bracket. They will play Oregon State, which beat Louisville 4-3 in the evening game. Arizona and Louisville will play on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time in an elimination game. Coastal and Oregon State in the 7 p.m. Eastern time game to try to advance out of the winners bracket. And Peter, let's hear your thoughts. I mean, a lot of good stuff today. I think that we saw top prospects, we saw big games, we saw big moments. What stood out to you from day one?
Yeah, I mean, first, this is a blast. It's a nice change of pace. It's about midnight on the East Coast right now. I got a little wallpaper reveal behind me for those curious, and it's like that Bill O'Reilly clip, like we'll do it live. I can't say the rest of the clip, but this is our first live show, so I'm juiced up. But yeah, it was a good couple of games to open up College World Series play. It was two matchups that I know you and I were looking forward to, and they both lived up to the hype. I mean, we'll go game by game here as we go along, but with Coastal, as it has all year, pitching and timely hitting, especially the pitching, really stood out. I was interesting how they stacked the pitching, though, with Fluky first out in relief of Eckhoff, but I think it was really effective because that's a polar opposite look from one another. With Eckhoff, you have the pitchability and the high-level strikes. Fluky has obviously done a good job this year taking a step forward in the control department, but the stuff is way louder than Eckhoff. It's a completely different look. It's just a really, I'd say, difficult juxtaposition on hitters, and then you go to Dominic Carbone late in the game and shut it down, who's been your go-to guy all year. So I thought Coastal was outstanding. They threw it exactly how I thought they would. Kind of curious to see how they attack this second game against Oregon State. I think they'll probably just ride Jacob Morrison until his arm falls off. And they've got a handful of really, really good bullpen options behind him, most notably Ryan Lynch, who they were able to save, which I thought was great. So great first game for Coastal. Same can be said for Oregon State. That was a bizarre sequence in the ninth. I think just like fast forwarding to that point, and we can circle back. But with Louisville tying the game, you had the sequence where Zion Rose triples, you get the Tig Davis infield single, pinch runner gets thrown out, and then Alex Alisea grounds the ball to Ivar Arquette. It's a tough play to make, but the throw goes wide of the bag. And then Wilson Weber, on his attempted throw down to second, the ball just slips out of his hand on the transfer, and it allows Alisea to go all the way up to third. Kamau Neighbors singles, ties the game, and then Oregon State walks off in the ninth. Brutal way to lose for Louisville. I think you got to be thrilled if you're Oregon State. Obviously, you come away with a win, but in terms of pitching, like Dax Whitney's performance today, and then really as we go throughout the entire next couple of weeks, like from a stuff standpoint, that's going to be, really, I don't know, tough to top, but that was really, really impressive, especially when you take into account that he's a true freshman and not eligible till 27. I mean, he had all going on. Fastball in the upper nines with plus carry through the zone, hammer breaking ball. It was strikes. Command wavered a teeny bit in the sixth, but, great job by Coach Canham kind of yanking him before things could have unraveled. So that was more than my 2 cents. That was like a dime, but my long-winded rant is over.
For those of you watching live right now on YouTube, if you do have a question, feel free to drop that in the comments. We can see your questions live and we'd be happy to answer them. Before any questions come in, though, let's talk about Coastal Arizona, because I thought that game, like you kind of mentioned, was very interesting. The way that Coastal decided to pitch it, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. Riley Eichhoff, as you mentioned, started the game. He gave them 4 innings, and then they turned to Cameron Fluky, who had been their Friday night starter in the postseason so far. He started Friday night in regionals and supers. And now they don't have him, at least for a couple days here. So you would think that they have to advance in order to get him back. My question to you, and I'll offer my opinion here first, does that put them in a bad spot? My answer is I actually don't think so. I think that Coastal Carolina is in a fine spot. It's a unique one. But as we've talked about on this podcast before, their ability to pitch, and this isn't just limited to their rotation, their ability to pitch is incredibly impressive. And so to me, you use Fluky because you have to get a game one win. The importance of opening Omaha with a victory it's massive. And that to me was a move that helped solidify that. And now that you have that win in the bag, you can move forward and figure it out. But as I've said to you before, and as we've talked about on the air, Omaha is not the place to plan ahead. Omaha is the place where you got to win in the moment. And I think that was what Coastal did today. I actually like the move, as questionable as I think it might be.
You got to get the game one win. As you said, you got to use the bullets necessary to get you to 1-0. Because, I mean, if you're sitting there after the game and you lose and, you still, you left Fluky in the chamber and he was ready to roll, it's like, why do we not just go to Fluky first out after Eckhoff? So, I mean, I think now that we talk about it and get into it more, I do think they handled it perfectly because they went 4-4-1, which I think was like, I have no insight as to what Coach Schnall and Coach Williams were planning pitching wise, but to have that work out so perfectly where you use three guys, you go again 4-4-1, like that's about as perfect a plan as I think they could have drawn up, and I think that's what the goal was. And again, they'll go Jacob Morrison, Sunbelt Pitcher of the Year, All-American in Game 2. That's as good of an option as they have, as good of an option as, one of the best options you can find just nationally based on from a sheer performance standpoint. And again, you still have guys like Ryan Lynch that you can go to, Matthew Potok, Hayden Johnson, Luke Jones. Like, there are a number of guys left and a number of horses that they feel really confident in that they've got for Game 2 and then beyond that as well. So I'm with you that Coastal's in an excellent spot. Oregon State's obviously in a really good spot. Coming out of the loser's bracket is a freaking bear anywhere, but especially in Omaha. Like, Louisville and Arizona are high quality clubs, but man, that's going to be tough. So I'm already juiced up for Coastal Oregon State. Not to kind of flush the day that was already, which was really exciting, but that's going to be a heck of a game.
No doubt. And one thing I'll also mention here that I think is really important in this conversation about how Coastal pitched it today, teams do have an off day in Omaha, and that matters a lot. Coastal does not play tomorrow being Saturday, or I guess today now on the East Coast. It is now Saturday, but Coastal plays on Sunday, as we've said. And so I do think that there's also an element to this where if you're Coastal and you're thinking about the importance of winning today, like you and I just said, you go to Cam Fluky for 4 innings, and I think it kind of keeps him available for the rest of the week in a way that maybe he wouldn't be for the rest of the season. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they get the day off. I think that was certainly a factor, and I think that they played it well. Let's talk about Coastal's offense here for a second, because I was also very impressed by that. I've thought for a while, and you and I have had a conversation about it, that Coastal would have a chance to perform really well offensively in this ballpark because of the way it plays. It is a team that can drive the ball gap to gap. They are not necessarily home run reliant. We saw that shine through in the regionals and the super regional round. Now today they score 7 runs on 13 hits. I was very impressed by the skill that was required to get the job done the way that they did it today. It was a lot of singles. It was a lot of station to station movement, and it was extremely efficient. And I think that that's going to allow them to go really far in this tournament, especially with the way that they're pitching.
Yeah, without a doubt, super balanced. Everyone got involved and kind of had their fingerprint on this way in one way or another. I think 8 different guys had a hit. 5 different guys had multi-hit performances. Obviously, Blake Barthol came through with the biggest individual swing of the game with a 2-run double to kind of, give them what felt like a ton of breathing room in the 9th and extend the lead to 3. But what fired me up the most was, I forget which inning it was, but Blajan Pato had a really, really polished piece of hitting. I think it was in the 5th to give him a 3-2 lead, but 1-2 count, guys on first and third with 2 outs. Pato eliminates his stride in a 2-strike count. You got the runner on first moving, so the second baseman from Arizona is covering, leaves the right side of the infield completely vacated. Pato gets the fastball and lets it kind of travel deep into the zone, catches it deep and muscles it through a vacated right side of the infield. Would have been a ground ball to second baseman, but just an unbelievable piece of situational hitting, and that just fired me up watching it. But I'm with you where it's like it's so weird that this year's Coastal's team is so pitching centric as opposed to what it's been in years past. But like you said, like there are some dudes on this offense, especially Caden Bodine up at the top. Like you look at the box where it was rather quiet, 1-for-4 with an RBI ground out. But I mean, he's the guy and he's going to make this thing go. But like they have the pitching to sustain a really, really deep run in this thing. And I think to your point about guys being available, I wouldn't be surprised if Eckhoff is available reasonably soon. If you just look at the box score, it was 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 runs. But then the most important aspect of that in terms of availability, he only threw 45 pitches, 36 for strikes, which is on brand for him. But, he threw 45 pitches. So, I mean, you're thinking about it, I don't know, he could be available in like 2-3 days. Like he could be ready to go in rather short order. So, again, circling way back, I think that this just worked out perfectly pitching wise from a plan standpoint for Coastal. This was kind of a masterclass on the opening day of Omaha.
Let's shift our focus here and talk about game 2. For my money, the best game of the day. I had a great time watching this pitching matchup between Dax Whitney and Patrick Forbes. I think a lot of people would correctly think that is a first round matchup for Forbes. That's this year. For Dax Whitney, he's got some time before that's the case. But that game was spectacular. Both guys carried no hitters through the third inning. Dax Whitney struck out 9 over 5 in a third. Patrick Forbes struck out 10 over 5 in a third. As we said earlier, Oregon State got the edge with a walk-off win after an unbelievable 9th inning that just kind of got all over the place. Before we talk about that game, though, Pete, we're going to go to the comment section here. We got a couple of comments from Anthony JD first. Oh, man, it looked like OSU was going to choke it away. Agreed. It certainly did look that way in the 9th inning. A 3-base, 2-error play, I think that's the best way to describe that,
Yeah.
allowed Louisville to tie the game in the top of the 9th at 3-3. And then it was Ivar Arquette and Gavin Turley who were responsible for putting it away in the 9th. Just again, a crazy game. I'll show one more comment here before I let you kind of talk about it. From Army Chow Mein. Yeah, didn't get to see the game. How'd Arquette look against Forbes? Pete, let's start there. What do you got?
Box score wise, he went 2 for 3. At least I think. Just like thinking
Correct.
quickly off the dome. I think he got him in the first.
Let me interrupt you. Arquette struck out in the first against Forbes,
Yeah.
and then he singled in the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah. Okay. So he went 2 for 3. Forbes got him in the first. Arquette came back with a couple of base knocks. Forbes flashes trademark stuff, the power fastball slider combo, plus fastball slider combo at that. But Oregon State got to him in the 4th, and they scratched across another run in the 6th to tag him for, I believe his final line was 3 earned, but he struck out 10, fastballs up to 98 with, again, his trademark plus ride and carry through the zone, the slider flash plus. Like, the stuff with him is really real. And when he's on and competing in and around the zone, you can see how dominant he is. The key is just competing in and around the zone on a consistent basis. And then on the flip side, Dax Whitney, I mean, man, that kid is he is a dude 0.5. That kid he is such a stud. And the fact that he went out there under the brightest lights in college baseball, the stadium probably feels, well, to him, clearly how he pitched, he wasn't fazed by it, but the stadium is huge, and it just feels like, it can kind of feel like it's closing in on you a little bit. And he pitched so much unlike a freshman, and I mean that in the most positive way. It was really, really impressive to see. The stuff was one thing. We mentioned it earlier on. The fastball is up to 97, 98. Stupid carry through the zone, consistently got it above the barrel of opposing hitters, mixed in 2 distinct and really effective breaking balls that really flash plus. And the strikes were there. The command wavered a little bit as he got more into his outing, but I really don't have any negatives to take away from Whitney's outing. And I think the most impressive thing was how he was able to manage everything. Like, the game can get so fast there. your heartbeat can get a little out of control. Like, it was classic slow heartbeat, super zen, great mound presence, always in attack mode, like, let's go after this guy. But nothing ever got out of control or unraveled in between the years. And he was just outstanding. We have him number 2 right now in our 2027 rankings, and we're kind of struggling with who to put at 1. Like, I could be looking at it with rose-colored glasses and, being a prisoner of the moment here, but, like, I mean, at this point, I'd feel kind of comfortable sticking him at the top of the class. Certainly SP1 for me. The 2027 cycle doesn't even begin for a lifetime, but he's going to go in a really prominent spot. And I think Oregon State's response to what happened in the 9th was really, really impressive. And to my man, Anthony JD's comment about how it felt like they were going to choke it away or give the game away, coming back from that, like, such kind of a freak play where you tie the game. And like you said, that 3-base error it ended up being. And then it just felt like in the 9th, they reversed it. You blink and it's over. Iva singled, and then Turley jumped on a first pitch fastball. Zion Rose almost made a really good play going down to a slide and popping up, but the ball kind of kicked off his glove and rolled away from him, which allowed Arquette to score. So kind of a whirlwind 9th inning. Both pitchers I thought were outstanding. And it's kind of sets the stage for this big time bracket 1 winners bracket tilt on Sunday.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. And let me talk about a moment that really stood out to me from the game. 4th inning, Dax Whitney is rolling. He's through 3 perfect. 4th inning starts out with 2 more strikeouts, and then he gives up back-to-back singles, first and second base with 2 outs, tie game at 0-0 at the time. And in that moment, it looked like perhaps the freshman was going to allow the big moment to get to him, and then he was able to compose himself and picked up a strikeout. I just was blown away by the composure of a player that age. And I think that the pitchability and the stuff are great. And that, you don't need me to tell you that. I think that that's very apparent. The ability to go out there in the environment that he was in today and be as good as he was stunning. And I think nothing short of that. And I think that that was the case for a lot of people who were in the ballpark. And that includes the opposing head coaches. One of my favorite quotes of the day was from head coach Dan McDonnell, Louisville's head coach. He came and said, I had heard how good Whitney was, but I had never seen him. He could have been a first rounder if he wanted to. Unfortunately for us, he chose to go to Oregon State. It just goes to show you the amount of respect that was earned tonight from Dax Whitney. And by the way, his teammates were out there saying, this kid is unbelievable, and facing him is no fun. We've had to do it in the fall and in practices, and it's no joke. So Oregon State obviously has a great one. I also think that it's important to discuss here that I don't think Louisville is out of the fight. I think that Louisville is still in a fine spot. Obviously you don't want to be in the elimination game. However, as you and I have talked about before, these are the kinds of moments where the teams that are capable of putting together runs by being pesky, by stealing bases, by collecting a lot of base hits, they tend to thrive in Omaha. And we've seen repeatedly throughout the season, and it's not just a postseason thing, that Louisville is certainly capable of doing that. What's your level of concern? Obviously, in an elimination game, there's a lot, but what's your level of concern relative to their position for Louisville after today's game?
Oh man, it's tough because they played Oregon State really, really tough. Kind of felt like, they had that huge momentum swing again in the 9th, and it kind of felt like for a split second, like they might steal a win. But going to the losers bracket is such a tough blow. And like, I don't know if they'll go 2 in Q. They might steal one from Arizona, but I don't know if either of these teams are going to be able to beat Coastal or Oregon State twice in a row. If that's what it comes down to, like, those are 2 really, really exceptional clubs. And at this point, I'd be rather floored if neither of them, if one or the other doesn't come out of bracket 1. Yeah, I think it's like post game, like from a coaching standpoint, you can't give that off and you can't say it and you're not saying it to your guys, but going back to your hotel room, after a game like that. I mean, it's just got to be so deflating, whether it was Arizona in the early one, Louisville in the late one, putting your head on the pillow tonight at 0-1. Like, I mean, that sucks. So it could happen. Arizona and Louisville, as we've talked about during this podcast live show, both really good teams. They've got the talent on either side of the baseball to do it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I hate to be kind of crass and curmudgeon-y. I'd just be really surprised.
Let's, well, first of all, if you're just joining the show, welcome. And if you have questions, post them in the comments. We can see them live on the show. We'll post your comment on the live stream, and we would love to answer it. So throw them in. Let's go back to the comment section here, Pete. Some interesting stuff coming in right now. I thought this was a good question from our friend Army Chow Mein, back with another one. Not familiar with Whitney's recruitment. Chances he stays with the Beavs for 2 more years, given they're doing away with the NIL collectives? It's a great question. With the landscape the way it is in college baseball, there is obviously a lot of uncertainty about how this kind of stuff is going to work moving forward. What I would tell you is this. Dax Whitney passed up on several $1 million in this past draft to be able to end up at Oregon State. So my expectation, more than that, I'm certain that he is in it for the long haul with the Beavs. I don't think that you choose to go there and forego the amount of money that he chose to forego, frankly, if the intention was not to be a Beaver for a very long time. I thought that Dax said a couple things during the introductory, media day press conference that really stood out to me about his passion for Oregon State and why it means so much to him. He was asked about the draft, and I'll just read his response word for word. He said, "This was my vision when I made that decision to come here. I really wanted to come here the whole time. It was more of like if I get lucky, I'll go to the draft. I wasn't planning on it. I was set on coming here. And this is exactly what I dreamed of. This is why I came here, because I knew we were capable of it. And I know we're capable of going further than we are right now. That's why I came here." To me, tells you everything you need to know. I think that he's a Beaver for his collegiate career, and that's all there really is to it. We got another one here from Anthony JD. I'm going to let you answer this one, Pete. Thoughts on Turley diving for that ball in the 9th instead of just accepting the hit? Love the effort, but that situation, take the single. I know, easy for me to say in the comments. What you got?
Yeah, hard in the moment, I think. That kid's a freaking gamer. He wants to go out there and make plays. I think in that moment, you see a ball you think you can get to and think you can make a play on. You obviously want to go and try and make that play. Obviously, hindsight's 2020 with the run coming around a score, getting by him, results in a triple. But I'm fine with him going after. I think if we're sitting here and Louisville wins 4-3, 5, whatever it ends up being, the conversation's probably a little different. But I think he has the result going for him, where I'm sitting here thinking I'm kind of a fan of him trying to go after it and make a play on a ball that he think he can. So he's a high-level athlete. He can go get it in the outfield. I'm cool with him trying to make a play on the baseball.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Let's go back into the comment section and see if there's anything else here. For now, I think we're good. I will say we're trending towards wrapping this up here. So if you do have questions, post them in the comment section. We would love to get to them before we sign off, and we'll give people a couple more minutes to submit their questions if they have any. Let's talk about tomorrow real quick. I want to get your fast reaction to the games that we have on tap. Give me one thing, just one, that you're looking for and that you would tell the good people who are watching us at 12:18 in the morning on the East Coast what they should look out for. You got Murray State versus UCLA in game 1, and then obviously a superpower game between LSU and Arkansas in the evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real clash to the Titans in the nightcap. Murray State and UCLA is going to be a fun matchup, but man, that LSU Arkansas game really gets the juices flowing a little bit. I am super, super fired up. Probably going to get Kate Anderson against Zach Root, 2 high-level arms, big-time competitors, and then you've got star power on both offenses as well. It's just, this is what the College World Series and what Omaha is all about. It feels weird we're getting it in game 1, or like the opening, whatever you want to call it. It's weird that it's the opening game for either team. But this is what it's all about. Like, buckle up, because it's going to be a freaking dandy of a game, I think.
I agree. And my 2 cents, almost like our final thoughts for those of you who tune into our regular college baseball podcast. I guess my final thought as we wrap up this show, and again, one last warning here, if you do have a question, now would be the time to submit it. My final thought would be this: don't overlook that afternoon game tomorrow. I think that the highlight of the day is obviously the Arkansas LSU matchup at night. But if you're overlooking Murray State UCLA, I think you're making a mistake. There are a lot of really exciting players and storylines that'll be featured in that game. Rock Chalowski for UCLA, obviously very much in the Player of the Year race for Baseball America's Player of the Year award, at least. Murray State, the Cinderella run that everybody is rooting for at this point, for the most part, if you don't have a horse in the race anymore. And so don't overlook it. I think that it's going to be a really good game, and we're excited to cover it. That is going to do it for this very special episode of the Baseball America College Baseball Podcast. One thing before we let you go, this is going to be a regular thing. We're going to do this every night from Omaha, and we're going to talk College World Series. Every day's got 2 games. We're going to recap them at the end of the night. And then I would also encourage you to head on over to baseballamerica.com/college to see all of our written content about the great game of college baseball. We will have plenty throughout the next 2 weeks as the College World Series turns on. But for this live episode of our show, that's going to do it. For Peter Flaherty, my name's Jacob Rudner, and we will see you next time.